And we are
All
back
right.
into round number one.
So before we go into this, let's go ahead and describe for our listeners at home and our viewers here the way we break down these games. We're going to go through the
Sure.
list of games here in a minute, but just for everybody to know, I know we reiterate this a lot, but it just for people to know how we do this.
Yep.
There are 5 categories we're rating these games on. And each of those categories are broken down into 3 areas. And so the one I'm going to start with here is ease of play. And it goes with the simplicity and the familiarity of the mechanism. So how simple is the mechanism? How easy is it to remember? Uh, the next one is how likely it is initially to get to the table. Does the theme play a part for it to get to the table? That's a very important factor because if you have something like, say, terraforming Mars, that might not get to the table because people are like, yeah, it's a Mars game. Some people might like it, some people might not. But if you got a game like Wingspan where people are like, ooh, birds, what are this? That might get to the table a lot more often.
Sure.
And the final one is, does the game lend itself to analysis paralysis? Does it become AP prone? When we're talking about that, does it hamper the playing? Do you become really AP, or does someone at the table become really AP and take you out of the game? I know part of that goes to game immersion, but it also goes down to, is it something that's going to be so difficult that you have to really, 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 really think out your turn and it makes your brain hurt in a bad way, not a good way?
Yeah. Yeah, what's the initial likelihood? Then we have art and production. First, art, then production, like as in pieces, components, all of those. And then design. How well does the graphic design help you play the game, and how well does it immerse you into the game?
The next one on our list here is replay value. And what we mean by this is the length of time in the scaling well. Does the game outlast its welcome? Does it scale the same for a 2-player game, to a 4-player game, to a 5-player game? Does the time become ridiculous when you're playing at a higher player count?
Right.
Next one here is the minimum number of plays for a full experience. This one is easily broken down to, does this have a campaign or does not have a campaign? Also, you can think along like, is it a little bit more module? How many gameplays do you have to play this game to see everything in this game?
Yeah.
I
agreed. Yes.
Yeah, and then the expandability. Are there expansions? Again, goes with the modulars. Does it make it where every game feels a little bit different, or you can take something out and put something else in? Just how does it expand, and how does it make the game better and more likely to be replayed and get back to the table?
And also, does it give the ability to be expanded as well?
Yes.
Yep. All right. The next one we have is meaningful choice, which how well do your choices impact the other players, and in like directly, indirectly, or meaningfully, impacting the long-term strategy that you have. Can I make a choice at the beginning of the game that will still be a valid choice at the end of the game? That's a very big one.
Or do I have to, or along the lines of, say, if I make a mistake here, does it affect me when we go later into the game, or am I allowed to pivot? Is my one strategy from the beginning of the game going to be the same strategy at the end of the game, or something along those lines?
Yep. And then also arbitrary choices. In your turn, are you able to make an arbitrary choice and still have a decent chance of doing as productive as if you put a thought to it? A good example of that is Cards Against Humanity. You could play it randomly and you still have a chance of winning. That's not a good thing.
You're not making a choice. You're not thinking out your plan.
Right.
And the last one, and even though this one tends to be more of an opinion than anything else, I think this is probably one of our more important categories, and that's game immersion.
Yep.
And the first one here is theme matching the mechanism. Does the mechanism work with the theme of the game, or is anything could be painted on here, and that's how it would work?
Right. And then you have
you want to do the next one?
Yeah, player interaction. How well are you going to be, or how well does the game allow other players to interact with each other, or are you playing just multiplayer solitaire?
Yeah, or also along the lines like, if you're playing a co-op, is there table talk? Are you working together as a team? Are you really saying, hey, this is your special ability? Maybe let's go with Pandemic. Hey, this is your special ability. You're a medic. Yep. We need you to go over there and start clearing those out just in case we get an outbreak, because we just had to stack those cards on the deck.
Right.
So that's why it's important for player interaction. It needs, especially in co-ops, you need that table talk. But also when you're not playing co-ops, does it involve us, fighting with each other, or is it just Castles of Burgundy is another example of the single player solitaire. Everything I'm doing doesn't really affect you, so I'm just kind of you may block a spot from me. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the last one here is my personal favorite: memorable moments. What is going to cause you to keep talking about this game outside of gaming? Like, case in point, we could say something along the lines, remember when we played Wingspan and Danny took the freaking card out of the tray that I needed, or he wiped the tray because of something he can do, or just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so the memorable moments are a key factor in board gaming as a whole.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if the game makes it so you can have these big wow moments and these big celebratory things, then that's going to be talking about, and that's going to be a fond memory, or even an unpositive memory or a bad memory that makes it interesting. It makes it dynamic.
And I think a big one about this too is you're not only just a game designer, but you're also a game, with a lack of a better word, guru. You're the guy who teaches all the games at Zia Comics.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, okay, I see how you guys are having fun with this game, like Uno. You guys have a lot of fun playing Uno. Let me show you this game. And then the memorable moment there where that clicks and they're having a blast and they're like, we need to buy this game.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like a perfect example of that, which would, I mean, it's an animal game, but it wouldn't fit on this. It's not rated high enough. Is like Happy Salmon. That is an incredibly memorable game because anytime anybody plays it, everyone in the room is going to watch going, what is going on? And either hate that or love that, but it's memorable. You're going to remember that's the game.
I actually have a game that goes along with these memorable moments. That is an animal theme, but it goes to our point here, and that is the Phil Walker Harding Silver and Gold.
Oh yeah.
That game was gangbusters when you were showing it to. You showed it to what, 5 different people, and all 5 of those people ended up buying copies.
They all bought it. Yep, it was an easy sell. It really was.
Just because it was a memorable moment. They enjoyed playing the game. They're like, hey, that was fun. Let me go grab it.
Yeah. It's like, darn it, now I gotta go do it. Or like we talked with the Legacy game, how Charterstone from Jamie Stegmaier, how my friend was like, you know, I fought you tooth and nail about Legacy games. I hated the idea of Legacy games. This just convinced me otherwise. Like, that's impactful.
Those are memorable moments, and so we wanted to go through this. But let's go ahead and start working down our brackets here for the top 8 animal games. Number 1, Wingspan versus...
Our number 8, Evolution.
Our number 2, Caverna.
Versus our number 7 seed, Fox in the Forest.
Our number 3 seed, Dungeon Pets.
Versus our number 6 seed, Bunny Kingdom.
And our number 4 seed, Takenoko.
Versus our number 5 seed, Baron Park.
So this is actually probably one of the harder debates for me. I own 2, 3 of these games. I enjoy a lot, 7 of them. I think the only one that I have issue with is Takenoko, and it's not because the game isn't a good game.
Yeah.
You know my issue with this game.
The color blindness. Yeah.
Yes.
Which that will come into a factor when we talk about the design for art and production. Yeah. But like, so I own 3 of these games. 3 other of these games. Yeah. 1, 2. I've owned 6 of them. I only own 3 of them now. So
let me see here.
I might say it.
Let's see. Caverna.
I own Caverna.
Baron Park.
I own Baron Park.
Do you own Bunny Kingdom?
I do not anymore.
So Takenoko.
Nope. I used to. It's not my.
I know you don't
anymore.
have Dungeon Pets or Wingspan.
Right, I used to own Dungeon Pets.
You gave me your copy of Fox in the Forest.
Yes, and I've since got a new one.
Oh, okay.
I have another. I kind of regretted giving. Well, so like, you and your wife like trick taking games better than than mine and my wife, and it's a 2-player.
This one's a 2-player, so yeah.
So it made a lot of sense that I gave it to you. But then when I got another chance to get a copy of it for cheap, absolutely,
I don't like it.
So,
and the thing is, the game's not expensive by itself.
No.
So.
And I like Fox in the Forest Duet better, actually. If that was on the list, I'd fight hard for it.
Oh, so would I. Played it that one time at Lindy's shop in Game Vault in El Paso,
Mm-hmm.
and I fell in love with it. The only problem is the reason why we don't own it is both of us wanted to get the crew because it does co-op a lot differently
Yes.
for a trick-taking co-op game. I think I would like that one. I think I'm going to like the crew more
Right.
because it can play more than just 2 players.
Well, but then also there's only one objective in Fox and the Forest Duet, and I feel like that was a big detriment to it when that it came out with the crew of
True.
technically 50 different dimensions. Like it.
And then the way that the crew is, you're trying to force other people. Like in Fox and the Forest, one of the big mechanics in it is you're trying to force. Sometimes you want to try to force feed tricks to other people.
Yeah.
In the crew, you have to force feed tricks to people because you have to finish these tricks in a certain way. So Danny may have to be the first one to get a trick before, say, our friend Dom, because he needs to be the last one to take a trick or
Right.
to complete the round or something like that. So
Yeah. I agree. So that's worth us discussing later.
when it comes to Fox and the Forest. But we're going to go ahead and get started here. Which one do you want?
I would prefer Wingspan. I do like it quite a bit more than I did Evolution.
I'll let you have Wingspan just because I'm one of the few people who like Evolution a lot. There are
I
problems
used
with
to own Evolution as well. I'm sorry, 7 of the games. I owned a copy of Evolution at once.
But I remember, for me, when it comes to Evolution, and we'll go ahead and start this,
Mm-hmm.
I love the game. It's a good game, but there's a lot of flaws in it. There are parts of it. They try to fix it with My First Evolution or like the Evolution, the one they sell at Target, where it's like a streamlined version of it. I showed a 5-player game of this at the shop when it was at the old place, and people loved it and they had a blast there.
Right.
I showed it again to you and your wife hated the mess of this game. And I think a big part of it too is the problem with Evolution, especially going up against Wingspan, is that Wingspan, after maybe like the first or second round, you kind of know what's going on, like the first 2 turns.
Yeah.
Whereas in Evolution, this game, it takes a little bit, okay, I'm playing this card to put food in there. Do I play this card to build up my body? Am I playing the trade? And so there is a lot going on. There is a variant in the game that I will only play with. And I show it to people this way too, because this game can overstay its welcome if you do not play this variant. And that's it. When you're doing the second phase, which is the card play phase, everybody plays it at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
The way the game works is first player takes his turn, second player takes his turn, third player takes his turn. You're playing the cards face down if you're doing the trades, or you're discarding cards to basically build up your body mass or build up species and stuff like that. So why not allow them to play at the same time just to save space? Especially when you're playing a full contingent of 5 players.
Ooh,
if you do not play with that real time, that second phase can take 15 to 20 minutes each time. And you're playing over a certain number of rounds.
Yeah.
So,
no,
you're not playing through a certain number of rounds. You got to play through the deck, and then you do a final round. And that's a thick, massive deck.
Right.
So, yeah, as much as I want to say Evolution is a good game, and it is, I enjoy the crap out of it, it's going up against a juggernaut. And I'm not going to lie and say that I prefer Evolution over Wingspan. Wingspan is in my top 5 games of all time.
Right. And
I played it last year.
Yeah, it's I don't disagree with you on that. The one thing that Evolution has that pretty much it's unparalleled compared to the other ones is how thematic it is. It really does bring out a sense of immersion. I think this is definitely probably the most immersive game on the list. However, if we just went down our lists and we went pretty fast, ease of play goes to Wingspan. If not, it's probably a wash, actually.
No, I would give ease of play to Wingspan. When we break it down to like those things, the simplicity of familiarity of the mechanism, you're just going down a line. That's all it is. You're just going to either play a bird or stuff like that. It's going to be real simple. Compared to Evolution, where you got to feed, you got to make sure there's food in the watering hole. Unless you're a carnival, then you're going to eat on other people. And if you can't eat on other people, you're eating on your own species or they starve.
Yeah.
That's just the first phase. Then the second phase is you're trying to the first phase is deciding the water hole. Second phase is deciding how you're going to fix up your animals. And then you go into the third phase where you're feeding across the table.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's a lot harder, just especially when it comes to that. likely to get to the table. Honestly, that's where I would call it a wash because both actually have incredible understandings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the AP prone is a lot more in evolution.
Absolutely. And then art and production, that goes to Wingspan easy.
Oh, Wingspan. So this is going to be hard for a lot of these games to go up against Wingspan when it goes to art production, because I'll say this about Jamie Stegmaier games. He knows how to produce and find the right kind of people for that game.
The only disadvantage that I would say, and if it, as far as art and production goes to Wingspan, is that on the cards, it's not immediately obvious how they work and what everything is. It's pretty good, right? But it's not like it's not something as simple as like, say, like Fox in the Forest, like a trick taking game. Like that's really way more obvious and everything's very clear. Whereas Wingspan, you know, like the other information, it's awesome addition, but it takes away from. It's like, am I supposed to be reading all this text here? Like at an initial play, right?
The text part of it, but I do like the fact that like if you're playing a predator bird, you have to pay attention to the wingspans of each bird, because sometimes some birds are under 75, sometimes you got to eat under 100 wingspan, and that way you can tuck them for points at the end of the game. Yeah. And so I do like that aspect. And when it goes down to the design part of Wingspan, I have to say it, those little folding player boards to make it look like logbooks are just, I love that design.
Yeah.
Such a simplicity design. When they're closed, they look like logbooks of birds you've seen.
And the function does work too. Like, I mean, just going down the line of how the different terrains matter for different things, that makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah. And then a big thing for you about Wingspan too is that you like how if you're doing one thing, you're paying something else. So food pays into this.
The circular commodities, that's a smart design. I like that a lot.
And then
meaningful choices, Wingspan, and replay value, I would say Wingspan as well.
Yeah, and then of course you go into game immersion, and Wingspan is just. I remember the first time I played. This is the thing is I wanted Evolution so much. I got it, played it, enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I also had a hard time having to learn the rules and learning how to play the game and stuff like that. First time I played Wingspan, it was so simple to get, and I remember playing it because remember when I was talking about Tiny Towns last week? I also played this for the first time at Dice Tower West. Because a lot of us were like, Wingspan, well, why don't we go? We know we're going there. Why don't we play it there? It's going to be at the hot table. He already said it's going to be at the hot. It took us the third day to play Wingspan because it was so popular.
Yep.
And there was 2 copies at all times. It was just hard to get on the hot table because everybody was playing it. We finally played it. I knew I had to buy it.
Yeah.
I just had to wait till it came into the print, and I had to wait till June. I played this in February and March. I had to wait till June for it to come back into print, and there's a reason why. It's that good of a game. We talked to Jamie Stegmaier. 500,000 copies sold.
I mean, I agree it should go on. So I have a weird relationship with this game. I remember when it came out, it hit the hype fan like crazy. And whenever I see games that hit that level of hype, I'm always hesitant. Like I'm one of those people. I'm just like, there's no guarantee that this is going to be as good as anybody says. There's no way. And when I played it the first time, I actually had trouble like conceptualizing like how it worked. Like, I want to say it took me 2 or 3 tries to actually get it where I was like, okay, I get it. I know what I want to do with it, and it's grown on me. I do like it quite a bit. I don't know if I'm going to own it because everybody else I know owns it. So I don't need to.
Let's see here. From the shop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that own Wingspan?
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It stands on its own.
I think for this one, I understand why people were like hesitant with the hype, because a lot of Stonemaier games, ever since Scythe, they get a lot of hype when they're coming out because he's a master marketer. I'm not going to deny that. He's really good at what he does for that aspect. But there's a reason why he gets hyped. But the way this got hyped up was, I think, probably the most organic of games getting hyped up, because people are like, oh, bird theme. All right, let's give it a shot. Then they played it and they're like, oh my god, that's amazing. And it just kept going and going and going. And people are like, oh, it came out in early 2019. It's going to die down eventually. It never died down.
No, I mean the fact that he said 500,000. It's only been out for 500 days,
Yeah.
so that's 1,000 copies a day. Like
So
who
the
would have
thing, yeah,
expected that?
it's impressive. I know we're going over this a lot,
Yeah,
but it's just that game is such an impressive game for me.
it is. It really is. All right, so then I think we agree. Wingspan moves on.
Wingspan, yeah.
All right.
So Evolution on our poll was actually the fourth highest game to get votes
Yeah, it's super
at
immersive.
11. Yeah,
Yeah.
super popular. I think if it had climate in this, it probably would have. If we both had played like Evolution Climate, it might have gotten higher because
Yeah.
climate does something I think is amazing in this game. Where well, not only are you building your creature, you're building because of the temperature. So you want to
Yeah.
build small and skinny if it's hot, but you also want to, or you want to build fat and big if it's winter. And then if it starts warming up, because you're also playing to the climate now, your creature will struggle if it gets too warm as they're like this big woolly mammoth type creature.
Yeah. I'm curious. I almost feel like that would be more complicated.
It is more complicated, but it's not that hard. I've
Yeah.
looked into it, and I'm going to get the conversion kit eventually for it because I could just keep my copy in the just buy the conversion kit, which is like $20-$30.
Yeah.
And what it does is like you're paying for food, but you're playing two cards. One's for food and one's for the weather. That's it. And you just got to be smart of how you're doing the how you're playing out and stuff like that. But the main
Yeah.
one that I think is for the expansion wise is Flight. That one's a bit difficult to play.
Yeah. I'd be willing to try it, but we'll see.
Yep.
All
So
right.
let's move on to our number 2 versus 7, which is Converna and Fox in the Forest. Which one
Yep.
would you like? I know which one you want.
I know which one I think should move on, but I'm fine taking either one.
Yeah, I'm fine taking either one, but I think we're kind of in agreement on which one we think should move on.
Okay, yeah, let's instead of taking a side, let's think about it. I mean, so Fox in the Forest, I feel is not as good as Caverna as far as a game goes. But here's the thing: that's not to discredit that it's not a good game. It's
Yeah,
a
no, Fox
fantastic
in the
game,
Forest is a great game.
And-
I really enjoy it.
and it's not thematic, but the likelihood of getting it to the
Table is a lot easier. Yeah.
the strategy and the player interaction, that's huge on it, right?
Mhm.
So let's not discount it yet.
Yes.
Let's just look
So I'm
through it
not
real
discounting it, but my issue with it when we go into game immersion, theme
Right.
matching the mechanism.
Yeah, it
You
doesn't.
do have foxes in the game, but it's literally just a power card. That's all it is.
Yes.
It's not something. Whereas with Caverna, you're literally building.
Right.
It's called Caverna Cave Farmers for a reason.
Yeah.
You're actually building
You're
a farm.
farming
So
and
you're
building
getting
a
pigs,
farm,
you're getting
ranch.
donkeys, you're getting these
Mhm.
animals, and you're trying to build your barns and your So I think thematically the animals fit so much better
Yes.
just on that point alone. Because again, you have the fox card. That is the only animal card. Then you have like
Right.
the witch and the what are the other ones? I can't think of them, but yeah, the prince or something like that, or
Right.
the princess, and it's just like
No, I agree. So like immersion and art and production obviously goes to Caverna, mainly
Yeah.
for the production part of it.
Ease of play.
Ease
I
of
say
play
goes to Fox in the Forest.
Meaningful
Now-
choices, I feel, would go to Fox in the Forest, and because the way you impact the other player, and how you're impacting long term, because you don't want to score a full out run, you don't want to score nothing. You have to find that really distinct
You have to
balance
find that
between
the
it.
sweet spot because if you take too few, you lose. If you take too much, you lose.
Right.
But if you're noticing, like, okay, I have the tricks that I know I need to win. Now I'm going to try to start. And my wife has done this to me. She force-fed tricks to me
Yes.
where I had to lose because I got too many tricks.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
And that's a valid strategy.
Yes, yeah, and that's a strong strategy. If you ask anybody who plays bridge consistently, that's exactly
Yeah.
what it is. You can't make an arbitrary choice in that because every
Yeah.
choice you can, even if you don't have good cards, quote unquote, you can still hold your
Yeah,
own.
I think meaningful choices, the only one that will actually go to Caverna is the long-term strategy. That's pretty much it. Because
No, you can change your strategy just because it's not a long game. You can change your strategy pretty consistently, or you can focus on like one or two things. Like I could focus
Yeah.
on excavating the cave and then doing delves, where
No,
you
but
can focus on
what I'm talking
farming
about
and
for like impact of long-term strategy is if you're not concentrating on more than just one thing, it's going to hurt you in the long run. You have to be smart how you play. You got to be
yeah,
really good in one thing, but you got to make sure you dabble in a little bit of everything.
yeah, that's true. But
And so
knowing
that
that,
is
yeah,
important for long-term choices. But
yeah,
that's the only one. But replay value is where I think Caverna wins.
yes, absolutely,
And it's because even though the length of time and the scaling well, for one thing, Fox in the Forest can't scale well. It's a two-player game,
yeah,
regardless. That's it.
it doesn't
Nothing
scale,
else.
but it's short for 2 players. It's a good fix.
Yes, so it gets that one. But the minimum number of plays for experience for Caverna gets
Yeah,
this just
hands
because,
down.
and it goes around with the expandability too. The modular basis of this
Hmm.
game makes it where it is so much gamier, I guess you
Yep,
could say, than Fox and the Forest.
I completely agree. So Caverna, Fox and the Forest didn't not put up a fight, but
It did
Caverna
not put up a
definitely.
fight. But I
Yeah,
think a big part of what hurt it is the fact that the Fox is the only card in the game, and it's just a power. That's all it is. It
yeah,
doesn't really do anything else.
yeah, exactly. It's a very meaningful trick taking game, but the fact that it's on the animal list, it was its
Yeah,
detriment. Absolutely.
yeah.
All right, cool. Then let's move on to number 3 and number 6. That is Dungeon Pets versus
Versus
Bunny
Bunny
Kingdom.
Kingdom.
Both of which are
Uh,
X games that I've owned.
so here's my thing. I remember Dungeon Pets to an extent. I also remember Bunny Kingdom to an extent. I've only
Yes.
played these a couple of times. I'll take Bunny Kingdom because I just remember it a little bit more.
Okay. I'll take Dungeon Pets. All right.
You want to go ahead and start?
Yep. Dungeon Pets. It is quite literally you are raising pets. It is an animal game. Even though they're like weird monsters and weird creatures, it's a medium to heavyweight Euro game, where you are going to be choosing your actions, how many goblins you send out to different places on the board, and executing those actions to get pets, raise them, feed them the food that they need, and make them bigger and bigger, and effectively sell them for points, which
Yeah.
makes sense in breeding. I mean, if they were focusing on specific animals, that could very well be an interesting adaptation to it, because it really could be fairly thematic. Um, I like the fact that it's in this fantasy setting, and then you don't get as emotionally attached to these dungeon pets as you would, like, say, like a dog or something. But at the same time, they really went out of their way to make it to give you the feels in it. And some of those dungeon pets are like creepily adorable. It's like a pug, you know.
They
They're
really are.
so
Yeah.
ugly. It's like, oh, but that's cute. You know, it's a
Yeah.
really solid game. It's definitely one of Vlada Chivadl's neat Euro games. And the fact that the pets actually, as they grow, they require more food, but they also gain new nuances. Some can be cranky, some can be like super need a lot of food,
Affectionate.
some can be
Yeah.
affectionate and playful. They might break your fences and escape. Like, all of that is just hands down really thematic to the game. Um,
And I have to say this about Dungeon Pets just before you go back on.
yeah.
Probably has one of the best and funniest rule books I have ever seen.
Yes, and I mean, they even point out the fact that one of my favorite things, I'm not even going to bring it up because that'll be for a future episode. It'll make sense, but there is parts of the rulebook that are just hands down hilarity. They wrote it really well.
Yeah.
As far as animal games go, it doesn't get much more animal based than that. Now, the one detriment that it has is that it is a heavy game, but if you're
Very heavy.
breeding different types of animals, that's not something you could just like Google and then look at a checklist and then know how to do. You're gonna have to be immersed, and the fact that they are in this dungeon fantasy setting really brings out, like, oh, where am I gonna send my goblin workers? How are they gonna do this? Oh, this one just got killed from this pet. Oh
Yeah.
goodness. There's a lot of legitimate strategy and really neat concepts in this game. So I think that's the one I feel should go on.
I get what you're saying there. And I don't disagree with it. I do enjoy the game.
Yeah.
I had fun playing it, but
Yeah.
it was such a bear to learn. Probably
It
one of
was
the
heavy.
hardest games on this list to learn.
Yeah.
Just because of all the little things that are going on. Whereas
Sure.
Bunny Kingdom, wasn't that hard to learn. It took a little bit. Out of all the
Right.
games on here, it's probably the third heaviest.
Yeah.
Yeah, third
Now,
heaviest behind Caverna and
one
Dungeon Pets.
one thing I don't mean to interrupt you, but
I
I
take
do
that back.
feel like
Fourth.
this is something that's worth pointing out, is that the setting for Bunny Kingdom is obviously fantasy. And as far as immersion and how well the theme matches the mechanisms, we're not we're not talking which games are the most realistic. It's which one matches
Yes.
the theme that is set for it.
Yeah.
So Bunny Kingdom does stand on its own. Like it's not a realistic bunny game,
Plus,
but
honestly, it's a game called Dungeon Pets. That's really thematic per se with
right.
monsters. So
Right. I'm just saying, we're not going to discredit Bunny Kingdom because it's not realistic bunnies.
yeah.
These bunnies are capturing kingdoms. That's what the theme is, and that's what we're going to consider. Anyway, go ahead and continue. I wanted to give it that benefit.
Before we move on, I just want to let people know Fox and the Forest had 1 vote.
Oh, okay.
But we're going on to Bunny Kingdom here. Bunny Kingdom is a fantasy-based kingdom, basically full of bunnies. And the big thing going on here, as much as you like, what is it, Vlada Chavato?
Yeah.
Richard Garfield. Richard Garfield designed this game, and it's actually a really neat game. I like the way it is. For a dudes on the map game, it's kind of funny because it's at its heart, it's an area control majority type thing where you're trying to influence the most and become the more powerful kingdom in the land of bunnies.
Yep. That's all
But
it
I
is.
also like the fact that the drafting mechanism in it too, when you're drafting the right cards for it, trying to find out where you're going to put your warrant. I guess it's called a warrant. I can't remember your ward, whatever it is, on the board.
Yeah.
And you're moving it across a beautiful board. My only problem in gripe with this is that they had to do a second board just to make it bigger for more things to fit on it better. And that's going to hurt it against design for me. That's the main thing. Is that board
they have
design,
gone and fixed it. But
yes, you can buy a larger board for the game, but yeah, that was an issue. It was too small of a board.
Yeah.
But the drafting mechanism works. I love the fact that your bunnies are basically reproducing on the map and trying to build this giant kingdom. And you're trying to get like the masters, and you're trying to gather the resources to build these things up, trying to take control over it, and it's quick. It plays in 4 rounds.
Yeah, it does.
It's a very quick game. I remember the 4 rounds, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at the board and stuff like that just so I can remember it on a BGG.
Sure.
But it plays really quickly. I do enjoy it. When you're going down to ease of play and the simplicity of things, I think Bunny Kingdom wins that hands down because it's one, the drafting is the main driving force of the game. That's so easy to get if you've played Blood Rage or Seven Wonders or anything of that. The drafting part of it is so easy.
Yep.
Replay value. To be truthfully honest, I'd give the replay value itself to Bunny Kingdom as well, because there are expansions, there are abilities to make more expansions for the game, and the length of time. I'm not gonna lie, the Dungeon Pets, as much as I enjoy the game, it's super heavy.
It doesn't scale.
Takes a 2-player game, even though it was our first gameplay, almost took us 3 hours to learn and play.
Yeah, it's a
Bunny
heavy
Kingdom,
game.
I played a 4-player game in an hour and a half, and that was our learning game.
Right. And now, but I do feel like immersion goes to Dungeon Pets, not because it's more realistic, but because all of the mechanisms do actually match what you're trying to do. You're trying to raise pets, whereas Bunny Kingdom, you draft some cards. Oh, look, suddenly I control this area because I got that card.
I won't give the full game immersion to Dungeon Pets, though. The theme matching the mechanism, I'll give it.
Yes.
But the interacting with other players in Bunny Kingdom, you can hate draft and try to set yourself up because you see what your buddy over here is going to. So you can hate draft, or you can be like, you know what, do I want to take this card away from Danny, or do I want to do this card which is going to help me build my kingdom a little bit better? So I think the interacting with other players in the memorable moments goes more to Bunny Kingdom than it is to Dungeon Pets.
The player interaction also matters with how many workers you send to each spot, and then each of that is a dynamic worker placement spot, basically.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but when you're talking about like the interacting with the other players, there's a lot more stuff going on than, say, Bunny Kingdom, because, you are hate drafting. When someone realizes you took that card that they needed, they're gonna chew you out and cuss you out at the table
Right.
for being a jerk and taking that card. I've had this is the big thing for me when it comes to memorable moments when we were playing Dungeon Pets. There was a lot of you and me going, let me see what the rule book says about this. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Takes us out of the
where
game.
Bunny Kingdom, there's a lot more table talk. There's a lot more, goofing off at the table and making fun of each other,
Okay.
stealing cards from each other. I think there's a lot more interaction, not just gameplay wise, but just overall in the.
Yeah, just how the overall scheme of it. Okay, I'll give you that. So then that means that immersion, ease of play, and
replay value
go to that. Whereas I do think meaningful choices would go to Dungeon Pets, of course, but art and production.
They're both really good. I would give, to be truthfully honest, I would give art production to Dungeon Pets.
Yes.
And here's why. The design, I told you, was going to come against Bunny Kingdom. That board design in the first printing was horrible. And the fact that you have to actually buy a separate board just for it to fit better on the thing.
Right.
I like the art better in Dungeon Pets, too.
Yeah, I do too.
Pieces and components are a bit of a wash to me, per se, because Bunny Kingdom has got these nice little plastic bunnies and the little things that you put the bunnies in for the castles and stuff like that. Whereas the Dungeon Pet, I think they're like meeples, the wooden pieces, I think are just nicer.
They're little plastic goblins. Those are nicer. But the thing is also, I've had so many broken spires from those towers that you build over the map.
Oh yeah, so and the thing is, that's another thing too, is that they use really brittle plastic in Bunny Kingdom.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of it in there, but it's really brittle. But yeah, so I think Bunny Kingdom moves on, and it will be facing. Oh, poor Bunny Kingdom.
They'll be facing Wingspan. Yeah, exactly. All right, and our last one, which will be round 4, our 4th seed Takenoko versus our 5th seed Barren Park. Which one are you taking?
Bunny Kingdom was actually our number 3, just so you know.
Oh wow!
Okay. At 12 votes.
Fantastic. Good job, Bunny Kingdom.
How many? Sorry, I said the wrong one. So Dungeon Pets actually was at 6.
Dungeon Pets was 6.
So even if it went to fan vote, Dungeon Pets would have lost.
Yep. I get it. It's too heavy for what it's trying to do.
Yeah. So let's see. What's moved on? We got Wingspan, Bunny Kingdom, and Converna. So we've lost Evolution at 11.
Yep.
Dungeon Pets at 6, and Fox in the Forest at 1.
Yep. All right. So Takenoko and Barren Park. I do have a very much favorite.
I have a favorite in this one, and you already know what my favorite's going to be. I have a big issue with Takenoko. I have a big issue with it.
Let's talk about it then, because we're going to have to give it a fair chance, but I prefer Barren Park over it, personally.
Yeah, I have a big issue with it.
So, let's think about this. Real quick. Ease of play. Barren Park is incredibly simple.
Oh, yeah. So, anybody going up against a Phil Walker Harding game, they're probably going to ease a play just because of the simplicity of Phil Walker Harding games.
Exactly. That's the beauty of his style. So, it definitely gets ease of play. Art and production would go to Takenoko.
Takenoko is a beautiful game.
Yeah.
The bamboo pieces, the little panda thing, great. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you on that one. However, the one problem I have with it is in the art and production, and that is the design.
Yes,
this is by far one of the worst colorblind friendly games out there. It is not friendly at all. It is unfriendly, and I'll tell you why. The 2 times that I've played this, I thought I had a good strategy going on. I think it's like the green and the yellow cards. I forget what it is, or the green and red cards.
They're both tan.
They're so freaking similar. Fine, you want to make the pastel colors? Fine. Give me symbols. This way I know what it is.
Yep, and it never did.
It never did, and it's so hard for me to play this game.
The texture on it technically was, right? But but on the objective cards, it just has hex grids.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Those cards when you're going through it are different colors. The green doesn't match the green.
Yeah, it hurts. It really does.
It is ridiculous. that you could come up with that design. And it's an older game, and I understand you're trying to go for the beauty, but and do like the pastel colors and stuff like that because you're trying to keep to the Asian colors and themes that you would see in Asian art and stuff like that. But that is my big flaw with it, and that is why I don't play Takenoko. I played it twice, and both times I couldn't stand it because I thought I was doing a good strategy, and then people were like, well, those cards aren't the same cards. Gah!
Yeah, and then on top of that, the bamboo is a different color than the cards and the tiles.
It's like, oh my god, come on!
Yep, they're slightly different shades. It's really rough.
And so now let's go into the replay value of Barron Park. They just came out with an expansion for it. Bad News Bears.
Which they've come out with expansions for Takenoko as well. Not good. Well, no, they're not bad. They're fine. But the thing is, like, so Barron Park, you're building a bear zoo, but really it's a polyomino game.
It is.
I feel like you'll understand it pretty well right off the bat. So minimum number of plays definitely goes to Takenoko because that has like all sorts of objectives. Player range and scale and time goes to Barron Park because it's super fast. It has a good range. They could easily add more players into it if they wanted to.
Yeah, and the expandability for me, I think, would go to Barron Park for the simple fact that, Takenoko has got expansions and more stuff to it, like the little kid bear, or panda bears, the little baby panda bears.
Chibis and stuff.
Yeah, but I think with the expandability of Barron Park, it lends itself to not only expand on it, but make it easy for people to learn.
Yes.
It may do a little couple tweaks with some rules, but Takenoko, when you're getting one of those expansions, especially those, you have to learn a whole new rule set, and then the cards suck on that one too.
But the replay value, like as far as expandability, the thing is, it even with Barron Park with the expansion is still simpler than Takenoko without.
Yeah,
like that goes
simpler.
To show. Like, they only added in a couple different ideas, but it's a very simple addition. So, I mean, replay value, I think, would go to... I almost want to say a wash.
Design-wise, there's one thing I have to knock Barron Park for, and that's the insert. That's it. Design-wise, it's just that insert.
Yeah, the insert, I mean, it was just... They just had extra space on the punch board, right?
Not just that weird little, like... Three split in there.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just... They had... extra space on the punch board. They weren't going to do an insert, I don't think, normally.
Yeah.
Had it not been for that.
So, meaningful choices, I think Barron Park, to me, I know, like, the long-term strategy maybe goes to Takenoko. But I think impacting other players is very important when it comes to Barron Park. Because when you're filling certain things and you're taking tiles, the very top one is worth the most points, and it decreases in value as you go. So you want to be the first one to take one of those.
I was going to make the same point. At first it seems like it's a multiplayer solitaire. You're effectively just doing stuff on your own board, but really that's a undulating market. If I take this tile, if it just in 2-player game, you play with 6, 4, and 2 points, like that, I take 6 points from you. The best you can do is 4 from now on. Like, that's not an arbitrary choice. That is...
And it isn't just like that. It's also with, like, the bear statues. When you fill in your entire thing, the bear... I think they're bear statues. They go down in score as well. So you want to be the first one to fill an entire board. This way you can get the most expensive bear statue point-wise.
Yep. Yeah, it's really neat. Whereas actual player interaction would be immersion. And so impacting others... and player interaction are two very different things, right?
Yes.
Whereas what you're doing on the centralized board, though, does impact the other players way more than just taking tiles. So as far as meaningful choices, I think it goes to Barron Park, but immersion would go to Takenoko. But that's still a 3 to Barron Park and 2 to Takenoko.
My only issue with the game immersion, the only memorable moment I have from Takenoko is the fact that those cards screw me so many times. Yeah. And that's not a good memorable moment. It's not. It's actually a detractor to Takenoko. Whereas Barron Park, our mutual friend Dom bought it at the shop. He's like, ooh, they got it in. So he went and bought it. And he's like, hey, I just got this new game. You want to try it with me? Sure. And I'm like, oh, man. This is the game that actually put with Phil Walker Harding on my hit list. This is like...
Same here. Yeah.
Okay.
But here's the thing, though. If we think about it, though, memorable moments as far as the game itself goes, other than, like, going, wow, this is so simple. I love this. I love how easy it is, which is true for all Phil Walker Harding games.
But
was there anything specific in the game?
For the game itself,
no.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it.
I built tile structure better than you. Yay! Like that.
Yeah.
What memorable moments is that? Like I
can tell you the main memorable moment that I have for this. It put Phil Walker Harding on the map, and that to me, that's an important thing. It puts as a designer that I've fallen in love with his game designs on the map to the point where I went out of my way to get archaeology. I went out of my way to pick up silver and gold because Barron Park put Phil Walker Harding. I love Gingerbread House. Is another one that we've talked about before. Yeah. So that to me, that's a major memorable moment. It's the same thing with La Isla and Castles of Burgundy. That put Stefan Feld. That's a memorable moment because he's a designer now I go hunt for.
But this put Jamie Stegmaier on. This is the I agree with you, but this put Antoine Boza in the limelight. Like this was the first one where I was like, whoa, this is really... It was a really different game, and it was...
Yeah, no. Antoine Bauza is not on my game designer list. I try to avoid his games, because I've played this one. I think the other one is Tokaido.
Yeah.
And I like Tokaido more than Takanoko,
yes,
but I don't like Tokaido all that much. I like that mechanism where it's just like, if I'm further back, I get to go more, so I can try it, or do I want to jump ahead and get some of the stuff that I really need before someone blocks me out of it.
But you love Hanabi.
I do enjoy Hanabi. Hanabi is actually the one that put Antoine Bauza on my list.
Right.
No, and I was like, okay,
this got
I'll try.
him visible for me. I do feel like the actual gameplay leads you to that ability to interact with the players and have those moments, like a stand-up moment in the game. You're like, whoa, how did you do that? Like you took all of the bamboo.
I think
that's
the big
amazing.
part is, and I'm trying to take my bias out of this too, but the big part of it when it comes to the memorable moments is me getting pissed off at the game because I thought I was doing something well, and the design of it really screwed me over.
Right.
And so, to me, I'll give you game immersion. I'm not going to argue that point. I just want to tell you why I think Barron Park has more memorable moments for me than Takanoko, just because the only memorable moment I have of that game is how bad the design is. It's beautiful. They need to do something about those cards.
Yeah, specifically graphic design, right? Not the game itself. I feel like if it was more colorblind friendly, you and I would have more fun with it. But I don't think it would be as fun as Barron Park, in my opinion.
So this was our 5 seed, right?
Yep, 5 seed moves on, and we'll be facing against Caverna in the next round.
So just before we go to our quick break here, Takanoko was actually our number 2 vote getter.
Really? How many?
At 18. Yep. So everybody probably knows what our number 1 vote getter is on this list. Let me just tell you the difference here. The number 1 vote getter has 52 votes.
Yep.
The number 2, which was Takanoko, is 18. That's almost a 30-game difference. Or 30-point difference.
Wow. All right. Then this will definitely be an interesting debate here in a moment. So we're going to take a quick break, be ready for the next round, and so hang with us. If you're watching this, you'll see it come back right soon.